Page 24, Lunar Eclipse. At the top of the page, introducing a new symbol called a tenuto mark. They say it's also a stress mark. I've never heard it called a stress mark. I know some people teach it as it's put a bit of stress on it when you play it. I was not taught that. This is one of the things that people don't agree on. There's a whole lot of stuff people don't agree on. So some people will, and a long time ago, hundreds of years ago, it was treated more like a nice, gentle accent. Not a full accent, but a gentle accent. But that kind of went away, and really a tenuto mark is you linger on the note. You hold the note out just as long as you possibly can. Maybe even finger legato it if you need to. And in so doing, you might want to put a little more stress on it, because it must be a more important note if you want to, there's other symbols you can use for stress marks besides this if you need it, but I don't call it a stress mark. It's a tenuto mark. So as far as this piece goes, in 3/4 time, no sharps or flats except for the accidentals. So it's either in C major or A minor. Well, let's look at the end. Bottom of page 25, you're up here. Last 4 notes, C major chord, C minor chord actually, but I'm guessing it's in C. It's hard to tell with all the accidentals, because the key signature can say one thing, but then with all the accidentals it actually changes it into something else. So we kind of need to go through it. It actually sounds more like C minor because it's got all these flats in it that you would find in C minor, and at the end of it, that's a C minor. Even the A flat is in C minor, so I'm tempted to believe it's really in C minor. Doesn't matter, we're just going to play the notes. 8th notes. I'm going to take both hands at the same time here for the first few lines, because they all go together. They're all 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 3. So just find your positions, and 1 and 2 and 3. Remember that accidental is good for the rest of the measures. So, and then here. Crosses over to get the G. Leave the right hand right where it's at, and then the left hand has to come back down, and you do all that again, only this time the end of the line it's an F. Then you come back down, do it again. The right hand just has this broken chord. It's the left hand that keeps moving around. That's 3rd line, 2nd measure, 2nd finger. Just get these notes in the fingering. Last line, the chord in the right hand, that is a B, a D sharp, and a G. You can do 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5. I don't care what you do, it's just here. So it's, just hold that down when you play the E flat, and then lift up. Then over on page 25 at the beginning, you're here, and then they've got upper and inner voices. See, we can notate multiple voices in the music. It kind of helps to make sense out of the music. And they're simply telling you that the notes in the upper staff there with the stems going up, that's the upper voice. And then the D. And then the other notes in the upper staff with the stems going down, that's the inner voice. They call it an inner voice. It's the lower voice of the upper. So you're holding the E flat down as you play the other one. It's like 2 people singing or 2 instruments playing. This is what they would be doing. And then here, that's all that's for. The left hand actually has 2 voices, but because the rhythm's the same, they put the stems together. Now if the rhythm in the bottom staff, the notes there, if the rhythm were different between those 2 voices, then each voice would have its own set of stems. So really you got 4 voices here. Here, and then 3 voices here. And then here. And that's an A flat, G flat now. Sounds wonderful, don't it? And then the 2nd line is now with G natural, A natural, G natural. The natural signs are nice of them. They're not necessary, they'll be natural anyway, but it doesn't hurt to put them in. And then the voice voices again. And then you go back. Okay. Let's go to the next line. Watch the stems on the notes. I mean, they have the RH there to help you out, but they've stemmed it the way they've stemmed it because, well, it's a combination. They stem them either according to the beat or according to the flow, according to the feel. A lot of times, see on page 24, they stemmed the eighth notes together for the whole measure. Well, that's the feel of it you're doing. You feel it on one. They could have put every 2 eighth notes in one stem, done it that way, but the feel is to flow it. Well, when you get down to the coda, you got the first beat and then the second beat, but because they split the stems up, the 2 hands are playing them, they didn't beam them together because they're split between the hands. Otherwise, they'd beam the next 2 eighth notes together too. So it's here, and then the next beat, and then the next beat, they can stem those together. And then you do the same thing up here, and then these stems are not together because they're different hands. Now, there's a way to beam them together even though there's different hands playing them, but I think the reason they did it this way is because there's different hands. It's easier to read it. The right hand has to play those notes. So the left hand's playing these notes. The right hand's playing these notes. The left hand's playing these notes. And then the right hand, that's the way it is. And then the last line, the left hand plays the first note. There. And that's the way it works. You work it out slowly and get rid of all the hesitations because your hands are moving around. So you have to look down at the keyboard when you're moving around, but you've also got to keep your eye on the music so you know what's coming. So work out all the hesitations. It doesn't matter how fast you go. Just use a metronome if you got one and get it so you can play the whole thing smooth, no hesitations all the way through. Then we can go add, as far as the articulation goes, well, the tenutos are there. You see them in the left hand? I would just linger on that. Maybe hold it down almost like a quarter note. Let it overlap. They're saying a stress mark, which gives a little more. That, and okay, if that's what you want, but in my mind, I'm just going to hang on to it. They get a little more emphasis because it's the first beat of the measure and it's a natural accent anyway. So you're going to stress it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. But I would hang on to it and overlap. Don't lift up on it till right after you play the next note. And then again. Again. You get the idea? I went a little fast, but you can get it. So get in the articulation, the slurring, there's no staccato that I can see, and then put in the dynamics. It's moderately soft, and this is sort of the whole thing. Because it all just kind of flows together. And then at the third line down, last couple measures, you come up just a little bit to moderately loud. And now that soft is actually for the chord. You don't need it, you'd play it soft anyway because the melody here is in the left hand. That's what we want to hear. That chord needs to be soft anyway. But it's nice of them to do that. And then you hear, come down now. You get softer, down to a soft there. Next page, they're giving you the different dynamics for the different voices, and that doesn't hurt. When you have multiple voices and things going on, it's nice if they give you this, so I won't complain about multiple dynamics on multiple voices here. So they want the upper voice to be medium loud, and the others to be soft. That's okay. I mean, I would think I would play it that way anyway, but it's nice to be clear here. back to this, and you're going to crescendo up and then come back down. Go up to about maybe a moderately soft to a moderately loud, and then come back down. Up to there. And then come back down to soft. I would be soft here and very soft on here. And then very soft here and extremely soft here. And very soft to a moderately soft. You have to experiment. What's very soft and what's moderately soft? Those two things. So you want to go from one to the other. Don't get carried away with that one. Then for the coda, you are very soft here, and that's all of it. And that's line. Toward the end of the line, you're going to crescendo up to a moderately soft. And those, again, hang on to those. Those are tenuto. And I would slur all of this together. And then you come down to very soft. And there's a retardando there, so you slow down. Very soft here. You have to experiment. The idea is get to know it first, and then you can feel these dynamics a little better, and how does it feel? It should be. I've added pedal throughout most of this, and that's fine. Overlapping pedal, syncopated pedal, whatever it is, that's fine. You're not pedaling everything, so you want to be careful on that. So I'm going to push the notes down first and then the pedal. I'm going to change the pedal right after I play the note. And again. Last line, I'll lift the pedal up right after I play the note. So the last measure of the third line going on. Here, and then change it. Now here at the end of the page, I'm going to lift it before I go on. A little bit of silence. Second line on that page, I'll lift it right after I play the note in the second measure. And the last measure, I'll lift it after I play the G, but before I play the eighth notes, because I want to hear a little silence there. I want that in the left hand, I want to hear the rest. And I'm not pedaling any of that, and then you do the DC, means go back to the beginning. I'll explain that in a minute. And the coda, you're pedaling all the way through both lines, all the way. And that's hard to do because you want to be soft, and on a piano, as you continue to play all these notes, it tends to get more intense. We don't want more intense. We want, well, keep it very soft. And at the end, then the pedal and the hands all come up at the same time. And I recommend you lift the pedal slowly. That way the sound kind of dies away rather than just ending all of a sudden. Now the DC al fine there you see at the end of the second line on page 25. DC means go back to the beginning. You can take that to the bank. That always means that. If you see a DC, go back to the beginning. Al coda means go to the sign for the coda. Well, if you look around at the bottom of page 22, you see the circle with the crosshairs. That's the coda sign. They have to coda. That's nice of them. What you need is the sign. And that means that when you get to that point, then you immediately jump over to the coda, which is the third line on page 25. It has the same sign. And they've labeled it coda. That's nice. Didn't have to. It's the sign they're after. And that's how that works. As far as the speed goes, they give you metronome markings. Just let it flow. It's a range of speeds. What do you feel this should be? Something like that. Just make sure it's all the same speed until the very end when you get that retardando. I'd like to play it with you slowly to check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics, and I can't slow down at the end. But other than that, I want to play it all through with the DC and everything. So I'll give us 3 counts since it's in 3/4 time. 1, ready, and go, and 1, and. 2 and 3 and. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and. 2 and 3 and. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 'To the beginning. 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, to the coda. 1, 2, 3, off.